Well, Michelle, back again. And we're going to have some fun interviews tonight. So let's get straight to the point. It's very, very important. 1 o'clock, Florida. What's the weather like?
Mm, Hot and humid. Just what you'd expect.
I hope our interview goes a little deeper than that, but
Yeah, me too.
I hope so. So you're going to have to pull something out of the bag tonight. You really, really are this afternoon for you. Cold. It's been cold in Europe. Snow again.
Snow again. It's
Snow
like almost
again
summer. What are y'all
in
doing having snow now?
snow in April. But there you go. So let's get to something maybe a little more profound than the weather.
Okay.
Um, Last time I spoke and I posted the video, uh, we were talking we were talking about seven mountains, that whole theology and ideology. And you came out with a phrase that really impacted me. You said it's not about top down. In fact, it's not about bottom up. It's about inside out. There's the question. Where are you going to go with that? Talk to me more about inside out.
Well, I think what you see is a progression of like understanding. And when I look at Jesus, and let me even back up before that, the three different paradigms you've top down,
Yeah,
bottom up, inside out. When you're top down, it's this power over mentality, which Jesus straight up talks
yeah.
about,
Okay.
hey, you don't lord it over like the folks and the Gentiles do. So like, hey, calm down, boys. And but bottom up in some ways is the same fallacy. It's just flipped on its head. And it's actually a recipe for burnout because a lot of times leaders, at least in ministry settings, that have this servant leadership mentality only. I'm not saying you're not a serve. You don't
Sure.
serve. Of course you serve. That's just part of loving people.
Right.
But the bottom up, you're trying. It's tiring, and it burns people out because it sets this false narrative on top of what a leader's supposed to look like, and it makes it still about ticking off boxes and performance. And then, well, am I serving well enough? And oh my gosh, I don't show up, I'm not a servant. And it puts all of this construct around it that I don't see with Jesus, and I don't see in the Gospels. Yes, of course, Jesus took a towel and washed
Sure.
his feet and served, but that was because of who he was. And it was about, even back when you look at some of the rabbinical paradigm and whatnot, it wasn't about just read this set of books and take a test. Okay, you now know what you've ticked that box. Go on and lead well. It was about walking with. It was about Jesus. When he talked about transformation, he talked about parables of yeast and of light. And light wasn't bottom up, light isn't top down, light's inside out. It shines, it
Okay.
shows up and shines. And that's what leaders do. You show up, and inside out is you're walking among, you're living, you're loving, you're being with people, and out of that relational context, transformation happens.
I don't want to jump too far ahead because I also want to talk to you probably in the next little interview about business, uh, from a faith perspective. But just move the inside out one, if I'm not jumping too far ahead, into the whole kind of workplace, business, etc.
Hmm. Okay, so transformation, right? Like a lot of times, if you guys have heard listen to our Seven Mountain chat,
Hmm.
um, taking a mountain in terms of that point of reference, we talk about why that's not healthy, but it's about climbing the corporate ladder if you're going to be successful, if you're going to
Yeah.
see transformation happen in a business setting. So we go, yeah, no, can't do that. We're going to be
Yeah.
servant leaders. So you flip it. So okay, so your focus is on serving people, which is great, and I would argue is foundational. But the point of reference is wrong. It's not because you're bottom up and influencing from your bottom position up. Um, it's in the workplace. It's about having real relationships. It's about being a great employee or a great leader or a great boss. It's about genuinely caring for people. It's about showing up and being in the middle of the office and not separating yourself out in terms of always being locked behind and inaccessible because you're the leader. It's a whole different mentality of a transformation that starts with real authentic relationship that has no motivation beyond real authentic relationship.
Yeah.
Because believe me, people who don't yet quote know Jesus, they can tell a motivation that is got some
Yeah. For sure.
spiritual underpinnings to it a mile down the road coming, and you're never going to have a real relationship with them that way.
Yeah. Maybe just take it like to not just a person inside a corporation, but a corporation. And
Oh,
this
that's a good
might be
one.
jumping ahead a little bit, but
I don't think so. I
you don't
think it
think so?
fits really
Okay,
well in
so
here. Mhm.
let's just put something out there. Here I am. I'm looking to start something that is going to affect positively the whole education realm, for example.
Okay.
Okay,
Um,
so inside out,
Inside Out,
top down. I need to find the power people. I need to convince them, and I change them. Da 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 da.
I need to legislate,
Yeah, and
basically.
legislate in the final
Yeah.
analysis to bring about
Yeah. So,
change.
like, I need to legislate and change the law, top down,
So
bottom up,
bottom up, go for that.
bottom, bottom up. Um, Again, this isn't bad and it's not wrong, but I need to go and I need to serve really well and prove my point as from a place of service. And I think what gets confusing is Inside Out also serves. It just
Okay.
serves differently.
Yeah.
Okay. It serves not for the sake of a transformational goal on the very far end of this is where I'm going. It serves because that's who I am, because I genuinely care. Because, so in an education realm, um, Inside Out, you're not necessarily reforming legislation. You're not necessarily showing off your serve because look at how transformational I am. You're just being in the middle. You're being east. You're
Yeah.
changing the environment around you. So you find a problem and you go plant yourself in the middle of it and you love people. And out of that place comes genuine transformation.
Yeah.
Literally, even when it's a large kind of society ecosystem, if you will, um, it still very much happens one person at a time. And that transformation that becomes real in your relationship then gets multiplied because, one person reaches one person who reaches, it becomes exponential instead of being about changing the structure. It's about changing the people inside of the structure that then ultimately does, in many cases, lead to structural change as well. Just a
Great.
different paradigm. Mhm.
Can I just throw a possible paradigm in there using the term inside out?
Mhm.
If it's inside out, um, not saying everything out is evil and that paranoid perspective,
Right.
but let's say there are things that I'm calling out for the moment
Mhm.
that are the corporate culture that is not
Mhm.
a kingdom culture or not conducive to the ways of heaven. Um, Using the term inside out, I would you be happy with the challenges the outside can also influence wrongly the inside? In
Oh,
other words,
yes.
outside in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, not to get myself in trouble, but that's what mega churches do all the time.
Explain.
Well, we instead of going, and not all mega churches are bad, so, but the whole idea of we need to influence culture by being like culture.
Uh
We
huh.
need to reach culture by being like culture instead of we're a counterculture and we're a counter narrative. And we show up in the middle of places and we do things differently because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And so there's a paradigm. Some people, let's see, remember the word, um, seeker sensitive.
Yeah.
Um, type of a thing where we need to make our space trendy in order to be able to reach people that are in the trends. And that's not what Jesus did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He showed up with a counter narrative. He showed up and he was change. And out of that came really everything that we have today, thousands of years later.
Sure.
So obviously it works and it's his heart.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, a lot of food for thought there, and I've been mulling all week this inside out paradigm because I'm very happy for you to contradict me, of course. I've often said it's not top down, it has to be bottom up. And your whole thing last week when we talked about, or 2 weeks ago it is actually, when you talked about inside out, really got me thinking because for me as well, it's very much one inside the integrity of what's inside me or
Mm-hmm.
inside what I've sought to help come into being, and also being inside something as opposed to separate to it from here
Right.
changing it or from here changing it, but actually part of it. And then the challenge is living your life, quote,
Living your life in the middle. It's
in the middle.
I
Yeah,
think one of the reasons why we saw so much fruit where I was in Africa was we jumped in the middle of things.
yeah,
We didn't wait for an NGO to come and create a platform. We didn't wait till we had the right
yeah,
accoutrements. Everybody thought I was crazy because I was this white woman with one leg riding on the back of a motorcycle, and like they'd never seen, somebody that wasn't local doing that. They couldn't believe that I didn't have a huge bank account, behind me, and that I just showed up. I found out years after being there that some of the church leaders thought that I was on opium because I was so happy all the time. And it just was this counter narrative. Like
yeah.
we didn't do things like anybody else did. And, we just showed up and loved, and God did the rest. And
Brilliant.
yeah, so
Yeah.
inside out,
Inside
jump
out,
in the middle of it.
we'll be thinking about that for sure. Michelle, I'm going to come back in a couple of minutes, and I want to ask you a little bit about business. So get your thinking cap on, and I'll be back.